Excuse me, Mr. Baiman.
Yes, sir.
Please, can you tell those people who are using funny names, like I'm seeing Farid using random name, I'm seeing another person, we are going to remove you from the program if at all you are not using the real name.
Farid is registered. Muwonge Farid. Why don't you put Muwonge Farid?
Can you put their real name? We are going to remove you from the program. Then I'm seeing Morgan using one name. I don't know which Morgan who. The rule is you put there your full name, which you have registered with us. We are not here to waste time. Am I clear?
More so, the disadvantage with removing you now is that you cannot be allowed in again within this lesson. The best, the little that can happen is you attending the next lesson, but this very one, neither we the administrators nor you yourself can add yourself again. So watch out and do the necessary. Put your names. At least none of you has funny names. Zee, unaingira klasi abaana balajana wano naye ebintu ebyo tubiteeka ku pages bwebwamu temubisomye mutwisawo bi tubiteekayo timetable gyeri kuva yesterday byonna kwebiri kati gwe wasomye byanamudaala naye nga waliwo ka the document itself is there.
Data again. Data questions.
It's just money what it we have loaded it, it worked at first, now it is not connecting. I don't know why. There's only sharing and as well as one.
No,
We're good. You can use that one if it is. That is the activity we want to discuss as a group, but know that you'll be facing such tasks time and again when you are either as an individual or as a group. But when it comes to exams, then it is an individual. We will not be discussing it, but here we want to try out that one. We know welding workshop.
In a welding workshop?
Hey, you know a welding workshop?
Yes.
Who has ever visited one?
Yes.
Victoria, have you ever visited one? Or at least you have passed by, yeah?
Yeah, we have passed by.
Hey. What was your experience when you passed by? What was there? Did you see some of the information Mr. Mukasa is giving us here? Was it noisy? Was it having a lot of light? Was it... Did you see any of those ones?
It was noisy.
It was noisy. Good. So I want us to complete the writing, then I will clear off this one and we'll start the answering, yeah? Have we finished?
Yes.
Now, according to what you are seeing here, what do you think is needed in this? What can you relate it with what we have studied earlier?
I think we can relate it to uh if it's a chemist, if it's, let's say, a laboratory,
Okay.
physics lab,
Mm. Hey, that's very
how
good.
they
So we can relate it
how they
to
tell us not to touch the apparatus and the expensive
equipment. Huh?
tools. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Anyone else with an idea? Or what do you think? What comes to your mind when you see something like that? Because this is an
Teacher,
everyday.
I think we can relate this to the regulations for a laboratory, since we are working in a workshop and we have flammable chemicals, we have equipment that can cause injuries. So I think we can relate it to the laboratory.
Oh, that's very good. So, with this curriculum, that is the main thing. That yes, previously when you would come with the original syllabus or the curriculum, the old one, would come here and wrap it to you, the laboratory, this is what is supposed to be done, this is not supposed to be done. But sometimes we do not relate it to what happens exactly outside. Now, many of us have passed near workshops. Some people have confessed that it is very noisy. And you know that your ear is not, what are statements? The D, E, F, please send. Okay, those ones I also now don't know. Maybe they will send to you those who are written already. People are confessing that it is noisy. I'm sure there are people who have passed around when they are welding and that light is just too much. If you look to there, it can be deadly. Now, this is exactly what we talk about in the lab. Only that in the lab you are dealing with maybe school environment, and therefore you don't have that a lot of noise. But the care that should be done in the laboratory is exactly the care that should be done. Is the exact care that should be done in those workshops. It can be a welding workshop, it can be a carpentry workshop, because you are still dealing with the what could be dangerous equipment. In some carpentry workshops, they use electric saws. If that saw was to just get on your hand, it is a mere seconds when the hand is off. When they are in this one here, sometimes they are cleaning a metal, but the brush they use cracks off even some metal pieces. Now just imagine you start eating in such a workshop. It means you are going to eat even those metal pieces that are coming off. So that's the danger. So exactly avoiding accidents and dangers in the laboratory is exactly the way we do it in the workshop outside. That when you are there, you have to protect lives as well as property. These paints, most of the paints that are used in there, the solvent is paraffin or sometimes petrol, or thinner, there is some chemical called thinner, which are flammable chemicals. Meaning, if you started keeping such paint in a workshop, you keep it near where you have sparks which are coming off from metals being grinded, or they are cutting a metal and there are those sparks. You know that anytime you can cause fire. And fire will destroy property and can even destroy lives. So the exact care we take in the laboratory is what happens even outside. So we are just relating now what we are studying with what is exactly happening in our daily life. Now, I want us to outline some of the rules you think should govern such a workshop in relation to the laboratory. I want one person to take charge. We are doing it as a group, but I'm not the moderator in this case. Who is going to be our moderator? Moderator means you will be like the leader of the group. Owini is going to be our moderator. Okay, we have chosen maybe Mukama is going to be our secretary alongside
Yes, teacher.
Kama,
Marilyn.
Charlene. Is it Charlene? Something like that. You are going to be our secretary. So Owini, you are taking charge. For me, I'm off, but I'm in the background listening to the discussion. So you are the leader of the discussion group having 21 people. Mukama,
Okay.
you are the secretary alongside Kalema. So can we list it down? Can we draft
So,
what Mr. Mukasa has requested us to do? Starting
Mr.
now.
Mu
Marilyn, take charge.
Mr. Mukasa,
For me,
Mr.
I'm
Mukasa
muting
has a
even.
welding workshop. He intends to train some youth in welding. He knows that in his workshop, he sometimes has scattered sharp metal pieces, electricity wires, sparks from metal being cut, a lot of noise from the machine, high intense light, unpleasant fumes and dust, flammable chemicals such as paint, machines that require expertise to use, otherwise they can cause drastic injuries. Mr. Mukasa has asked you to draft for him rules and regulations for the workshop to the trainees. So I think, according to what we have learned from what we should and should not do in a physics laboratory, we can pick out some points from there and relate them to the points which are here, and we come up with the answers. So number one, sometimes he has scattered sharp metal pieces. We
Can I
should,
interrupt you a bit?
yes, teacher.
Yes, now your work may not be giving us the points, but engaging the rest. You ask the rest, let them give points. Huh?
Okay.
Yes, so that our secretary should be noting each and every. We shall finally come up with one single document. I can see
Okay.
hands up. So it is your task to choose whom you want.
Regina, please unmute.
Done for high intense light. By wearing welding glasses when cutting metals.
Okay. Rihanna, Agnes, please unmute.
The one which says in his workshop, he sometimes has scattered sharp metal pieces by wearing closed shoes and laboratory coats while in the workshop.
Chairperson,
Okay.
you keep in touch with your secretaries to ensure each point is captured.
Are you capturing the point, Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm capturing every point.
Okay, Akidi Elizabeth.
Marilyn, I would like to ask a question.
Yes, please.
For example, high intense light and metal pieces, lots of noise for machines and unpleasant fumes. Can those things go in one category where we say use protective gear? Other than saying one, wear protective glasses, two, wear maybe a coat, three, wear boots, like that. Can they all go in a category where we say high intense light, metal pieces, unpleasant fumes and dust and noise? Go under wear protective gear?
I would agree on that point, but we have many points here, and so we have to be particular on exactly what to do.
Okay.
Is Akidi Elizabeth? Sorry.
Yes, I think for the electricity wires, they should put on rubber gloves or they avoid touching the wires.
The one for electricity wires, I think that we should say, do not touch the electricity wires with wet hands. Or if you're going to touch them, please wear rubber gloves.
Okay, thank you.
Cheryl, is there something you have to say?
But what if this wire is on the floor and it's not covered with anything?
That's why we have to avoid touching it with wet hands, and we have to wear rubber gloves in
What
case
if you
anything
step
happens.
on it and you've not intended?
Can you wear a rubber boot?
Martha, can you please tell us what you have to say?
The
Martha?
one chemicals such as paint. Keep flammable chemicals away from the working areas.
Cheryl, did you note that down?
I've already noted it.
Okay. So anyone else there? Cheryl, is there something you have to say?
Unpleasant fumes and dust, can we say wearing nose masks or dust masks?
Yeah, I will agree with that point.
For the noise from the machines, can you say that wearing earbuds?
Okay. Or wearing headsets, like the ones those guys who are directing the planes wear to avoid ear damage. Regina, please tell us what you have to say.
The last one, H. Machines that require blah blah blah. I think you should not operate a machine which you're not like sure of how it works, something like that.
Okay. Rihanna, can I please have your suggestion?
That point for C, I'm not sure I don't know if they call it an overall, but those guys like who are working on the metros, they should see specific name is so that the sparks don't burn them.
Okay. Cheryl, have you noted that down?
Rihanna, they wear this kind of shield on their face so that the sparks don't get them, and they're always wearing gloves.
Yeah, like okay, on there, that is it an overall like that?
I think someone should research and give us the name
of what? Oh yeah. Anyone out there to screen share? Babiri and Mariam.
The one which says that
sorry, what were you going to say?
I was saying that the one which the machines that require experts to use it, I think it should be that do not use them without the help or supervision of an expert.
I think you're right. Or maybe they can mark the areas for which that activity will be going to be carried out. The sparks from the metal are very painful when they actually land on your skin. So maybe they should put aside some area, they should mark and tell them that do not go in this area or something like this.
I'm screen sharing.
Okay.
I hope this will be able to help us, like this one, this.
Can we all see?
Maybe I should stop the sharing.
First magnify that person cutting something, the diagram in black and white.
This one.
Yes. Good. I
Yes, we
think
can now see.
we can see the names of what we have been looking at.
Yes.
Steel cap boots. You know what steel cap boots are?
Yes,
Those shoes with some metal on the front,
yeah.
because
Yes.
you are going to be kicking some metal pieces and so on, which can easily penetrate the shoe. But if it is metallic at the front, then it cannot.
We can see the chainsaw chops. Can we
Yes.
all see that?
And
The
the
high
vestrian I was
visibility,
talking about.
Very
yes, the
good.
high visibility vest. We can see the goggles, the ear muffs, and the hard helmet. Can we all see that?
So continue
Yes.
from Amaside again, continue with your discussion. But
I would
we have
like,
5 minutes, then we come back and summarize all together.
okay, I would like to see a scene where Shaima, S1 is, I will start picking at random whether your hand is up or not. Shaima, please unmute and tell us any suggestion you have. Shaima? If not, I'll tell Babiri Mariam to give us a point. Mariam, are you there? Bukenya Leah, please give us anything. Okay, Shaima, please tell us what you have to say.
There are some workshop rules here. I think they are exactly the same like the ones we were listing here.
Yes.
We can read through them and see
Okay.
if there is anything we have missed.
Okay. Read through, please. Cheryl, is there anything you have to say? Your hand is up.
I don't have anything to say. I'm
I'm
going to
looking
stop the share.
I'm looking for Chris Wood. Chris Wood, please unmute and suggest some points. Chris Wood, are you there? I want us to look for some answers. I don't want us to sit silent and not say anything. Sure, there are many points which have been listed out, but there are more which also have to be brought in. And so I'm going to look and pick at random, or if you have anything to say, please raise your hand. Masa, can I hear what you have to say?
I think there should be no eating in the workshop since there are metal pieces.
Okay. And can you please tell us more about your point?
Like when they are working in the workshop, there are these metal sparks that fly, and when they settle on the food, it can be dangerous.
Okay. Cheryl, have you noted that down?
Already.
Okay. Kalema Shadia, Common Central, please unmute and tell us a point. Shadia, can I please hear your point? Akidi Elizabeth, please unmute.
For me, like someone said, machines
Sorry, can you
working, yeah?
please repeat?
They are at use. Avoid going near the machines when they are at use.
Okay. And can you please explain why you are saying that?
When they're using the machine and there is sparking and what, to help you to avoid to get injuries.
Okay. Cheryl, is there something you have to say?
There's nothing I can say.
Birunji Skylar, please unmute if you can. Skylar? Okay, if there is nothing more to say, then we can hand over to the teacher. Teacher, maybe you can listen to the points Cheryl has written down, and we
Yes.
can see what we do not have yet and brainstorm some more
Alright.
answers.
Our
My
secretary.
first, for high intense light, we were given wear protective goggles. For metal pieces, we were given wear protective coat and had helmet, and also no eating, stroke drinking in the workshop. For wires, we were given rubber gloves and steel cap boots. For paint, we were given keep flammable chemicals away from heat source. For unpleasant fumes, we were given dust mask and had helmet. For noise, we were given wear earmuffs. I think that's it.
Okay. The other secretary, do you have other points you picked which have not been mentioned? We had two secretaries. She did not record something. Very good.
I can see Nyamaizi Pamela's hand up.
That hand has been up ever since when? I hope. Okay, Nyamai, say something. Pamela. I think.
Pamela, are you there?
I
have
talk.
I have
Pamela, please repeat.
Pamela's network.
so do not
Do not.
Not. Her
when
network is
when
not
they
very good. But I think we have seen, we really have the points. But remember,
thank you.
remember, the question was, we draft these rules and regulations. Now, in that question, it's not just about outlining the points. I think he said, we are drafting the rules and regulations which will be given to the trainees directly. Meaning is not going to go through them. And therefore, in our document, we are not just merely going to outline the points like that. It's like we are designing a chart. We are designing a chart. Which chart is going to be read or is going to be given to the students? Do we right away start with do not eat? Is it do not wear this one? Have you seen such charts anywhere? Do they just start like that?
No, teacher, they don't start like that.
They don't just start like that. One, we need to customize this chart that it belongs to a workshop, to Mr. Mukasa's workshop. And therefore we can give this chart a heading. I want to show you how the difference in scoring will come in. Yes, you will all have the same points. Don't put on this, don't put on this. But someone, because the question was saying we are designing a chart which will be given to this one, someone will start with, maybe is giving a heading, Mr. Mukasa's workshop. Someone will give it a heading. And then below it you can say rules and regulations. Do you see that? So that something has meaning. It appears to have now more meaning than just making an outline. When you make an outline, someone will say, well, what does it mean? So much as all of you will write the same points, but this one is likely to score more because it becomes much more relevant. Now we can say, someone can even start with this one. I'm not saying it has to specifically to be this, but I'm showing you that you can go a little extra mile than just the ordinary listing of points. Welcome to Mr. Mukasa. This is such a document. Is there any difference between such and just starting right away to lists?
Yes, teacher, there is a difference.
So when you are doing that activity in class or it is an exam, all of you will have the same points, but some will score more than others because of such an extra mile. Remember, you are welcoming someone. When you just list them, it's like you are threatening someone. Someone will even fear and say, will I handle being here, being trained from here? But when we start humble, welcome to Mr. Mukasa's workshop. You are letting someone develop the interest. You are building the attitude. Then 2, we are saying to ensure safety of life and property. Please always adhere to these rules and regulations. Someone is already developing the reason why he or she has to follow the rules and regulations. You have to bring it out that it is following these rules is for your own good. Someone should not just look at it as if there are restrictions. Don't do this as if you are not needed in that place. No. We are saying if you adhere to these rules and regulations, your life will be safe, but also the safety of the equipment you are using. And now from there, we can start listing our points now. 1. And then in this, when you are giving me the points, you tended to be much more specific. That for the light, do this one. No, for us, when we are generalizing the rules, we may not be that because of the intense light, you have to do this. Because such rules, you need to be a little precise. Huh? Someone should not lose the interest in reading them. You are interested in someone reading all of them because they are all very important. And now when you make them too long, it is more of a paragraph, somehow it gets boring to read. Eh? Someone will read up to number 3 and is bored. Says, okay, the others I will read. Yet, that person can cause an accident because of not reading rule number 6. So we ensure that we are brief. In economics, we say precise and concise. You are brief, but not losing the meaning. Okay? So we may not attach the reason why we have to put on the goggles, for example. So you can say, always put on eye goggles. 2, and so on and so forth. See how we are making them brief? Just imagine we say, always put on eye goggles because we have light which is of high intensity and sometimes the sun shines there and it becomes a story and it is boring. Eh? So we are saying, always put on eye goggles. Eye goggles are protecting you from 2 things. One, injuries injuries of the eyes. Just imagine those sparks fall off and they land directly on your eye. You know what kind of injury you can get. Huh? But also it may not be just a particle coming off from the metal, but the light itself is high intensity. Your eye is not ready to receive all that light. So we don't go into much detail of explaining each. What we do is we can have them there, but what I know is that when you are recruiting people in a workshop, you always have what we call an induction course. You first go through these rules one by one when you are explaining, but when you have given them on paper, it should not be into detail. Eh? You want someone to get the interest of continuing to read and read all through. Are we together? So we are not going to write again those rules. I just wanted to see the guideline of what exactly we need. Okay? What extra can we do to impress and get the scores? Can I entertain any questions so far? Anyone willing either a question or you want to suggest something, you want to contribute, you want to subtract? It is okay. It is an interactive lesson. Now, when we are doing it as a group here, I want to encourage people that we are not only looking at what you are going to write, but we are also testing leadership skills, communication skills. Now, communication skills includes many things. One, using a simple language that someone can understand. It will not be that because for you are technical, you know those engineering terms, you start hardening life with complicated terms. Eh? Remember, you are giving these rules to someone who has not been in the workshop earlier. So you must use a language that is understandable to him or her. We are also looking for those things. We are looking at whether you are able to listen to others. You remember I said now we are going to discuss, and I was not the moderator. I decided a student to be a moderator. Are you able to give her the respect as a leader? Are you able to listen to others? We are also testing for those things. More so, when you are in a group, do you contribute, or for you are there ready to receive? For you are waiting to write what others have said. We test all those ones. That's why at the end of it all, this activity will be done on an individual basis. Here in the class, we do it as a group. But when we come to end of year or end of term, the activities of integration will be done on an individual basis. So don't relax and say, they will always do for me. Are we together? Or because you know that
Yes, teacher.
you always do things as a group in class, and therefore for you don't do research. That is very wrong. Why? When it comes to the exam, you will be doing it as an individual. It is not a group. Now, if you were not doing research, you were not making notes on your own, how will you prepare for those exams where you will now be alone? It is no longer a group. So that's what I wanted to emphasize today. And in the course of our interaction during this time, we shall be doing more of such activities, so that we get well versed with approaching questions that we anticipate anytime in our course of study. Even when you go to senior 2, the exams or the tests will be in that format. We just imagine a situation and then we tell you to do. We are testing your competence. Are you able to transform the knowledge you are learning from school into society? For example, here we are testing whether you can relate rules governing a laboratory to the everyday physics outside. When someone shared the screen, some statements were kind of specific to the laboratory. But now we are testing, are you able to think beyond the laboratory and say, yes, in the laboratory they do experiments, but even in the workshop, they are more like experiments, or they are implementing what the experiment was talking about. Can the rules be any different? We say no. Are we together? So unless there is anything else for today, I want us to end here. Have we picked something from our sessions? Can we discuss what we have learned from our session today?
Yes,
I
we
want to
can.
hear reactions. We assess our time here. Are we wasting time or we picked something?
We picked something.
By show of hands, each one can tell us what you think you have gained from today's session. Marilyn, Win?
I feel like today I've learned how to approach the question. At first, before you had told us that we had to first introduce it in a way that someone can actually relate or be comfortable with rather than just throwing the rules at them.
Yes.
Now that we have learned this, I think that if a question like this came in the activity of integration, I'd be able to pass it.
Oh, that's great. Rihanna, Navide?
Today I have learned that this new curriculum helps us to learn to apply what we learn in class in our daily life.
That's great. There is who? You can lower the hands. Cheryl, is it Cheryl? Something like that. Hey, those names.
Teacher Rian already said my point. I wanted to say that we can relate what we learn in class to real life situations.
That's very good. If there is no any other, I want to call the lesson to the end. We meet again, we have the timetable. We are calling it a day, I think. I want to wish you a nice time. Help type in the answers. Okay, someone wants, from CRE. This is serious. Okay, have a nice time.
Bye.